context of the Second Intifada, that we talked about the fact that you can get help to victims of terror attacks could be assisted, obviously, with their physical injuries, and to some extent with their psychological injuries, so that they could get back to so-called normal functioning. But hating the people who had done this to you, and the hatred, that's part of your normal functioning. That's not something that we need to heal.
At a certain point in our work, we began to ask questions, and noticing the level of hatred and animosity that was growing. It wasn't just about a political struggle. It wasn't just about a need for security. There was something much deeper that needed to be addressed. And that's when this notion of beginning to understand even who the enemy is. What motivates the enemy to behave the way they behave towards me as a Palestinian.
One of the sad things for me is that I'm being told here that there are almost decreasing places of engagement. And it's in the separation that you can keep the hatred alive. You can keep the stereotypes. You can develop them. And it's only in the encounter that can begin to shape. But people who have been, in an objective sense, the perpetrators, therefore have to deal with guilt and shame. And so, who wants to deal with guilt and shame? So you go into denial, you know? And you go into silence.
I think one of the problems here is that dialogue can sometimes be a way of maintaining the status quo. The more powerful side sees that, participating in dialogue is doing their bit. They come to the dialogue and that's their contribution to trying to make things better, and they go away feeling good about themselves because now they're participating in dialogue, but they don't do anything to challenge the status quo.
When we set up this trauma center for victims of violence and torture, all the psychologists came out of the woodwork, and the therapists, and they said, well, we are offering our services to victims of torture. And many of the victims said, before we start this therapeutic session, where were you? Yeah. Where were you? When the chips were down? I'm not a Muslim, I'm not Jewish, but in my tradition there's a day of judgment. And I have a feeling that God may not say to each of us, well, did you sort out this Palestinian Israeli conflict? Is there now peace with justice for all whether a 2-state or 1-state or 1.5 state? But God might say, my dear, did you make your contribution?